Welcome to EnergizeUtv. This is a space for conscious conversation, grounded leadership, and embodied truth. I'm Angel Marie. Each episode delivers fresh perspectives, expert insight, and actionable strategies to help viewers elevate their energy, expand their potential, and live with greater purpose and vitality. This is not just a TV episode. It is a movement to awaken the world, raise collective consciousness, and inspire positive change. Greetings and welcome to EnergizeUtv, where energy meets modern life. I'm Angel Marie, and I'm your activation catalyst. So happy that you are here with us today for I Almost Died Helping Everyone. And here's what changed my whole life. And are you helping everyone else? Well, quietly, like burning yourself out. I get this a lot lately, and that's the conversation. And that's why today's episode is so personal to me, because I'm going to be talking about the inside story and how I went from overwhelm, illness, pushing past the limits and almost dying, to living in aligned and helping thousands experience their own energy and clarity. And that's why I named this, I Almost Died Helping Everyone. And here's what changed. Because today I'm guiding you and sharing not only what I lived, yet how I now teach so that you can apply it in real life right now in your own life. Yet this is the thing. Energy is everything. And it's the foundation of my work for almost 30 years. So we have to come back to that question every single time. And I know you're used to it now. But welcome to the newbies. I love you so much. Thanks for being here. What is energy? And you know that it is one of the biggest subjects right now. And I'm sure you've heard about it, that everything is energy. Energy isn't directional. Energy is directional, and it is practical. And it's not a woo-woo thing, it's actually scientifically, and it's immeasurable, and it's happening in your body like all the time, every moment, all the time, energy is coming through you. And I love how Einstein taught us that energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to the other. Because your body is energy. Your thoughts are energy. Your emotions are energy. And your body is constantly communicating with you through your nervous system. Because that's the connection between the brain, the heart, and the nervous system. It's all sparking these neural nets, neural pathways, bing, bing, bing. And you feel this energy, and maybe you don't. But yet, before you even think about it, you are just emitting. That's quantum physics. Can't be denied or argued. That is real. And you may feel it, that tightness, that expansion, that knowing. That is energy. And when you understand how to work with it, everything begins to change. And I've seen it thousands of times. Because your thoughts are not just random anymore. You are directing your energy. And your energy is always organizing what you experience. I love this one. So just take a moment on this one. Reality isn't fixed. It is in the field of vibrating energy waiting for your mind to direct it. Wow. So you've probably heard this before, is what you think about, you bring about. What you think about, vibration is going out in a frequency, then that energy comes to you. Let's just pause and let it land for a second, because we don't realize, and yeah, we have, what did science told me last time? Last time I saw it, it was about 80,000 thoughts a day. And like 80-some%, depending on what book you read or whatever, it's negative. So you're always doing what? Back and forth with your thought pattern. I really want you to think about this, because I want you, because I love you so much, is to direct it right now with repeating after me and saying it out loud, because it's powerful. Everything in life is easy. Breathe it in. Feel it. Stop, stop. One more time. Everything in my life is easy. Everything in my life is easy. Because this is not about force. This is about learning how to move with your energy so you can feel more clear. Everything is easy. And I get that a lot from people. They're like, Angel, something will happen, and it just seems like everything just flows exactly the way you want it to. And I always say, I don't always put the outcome way over here. Yeah, way over here. Because that's what I want. And I just keep saying everything is easy. And I'm not trying to figure it out. Because you just programmed easy energy. Because when you learn that everything is easy, or everything is however you make it, then you become more calm. And I see it all the time in my students and my clients. You feel more aligned in your body and in your life. You're telling your body, your mind, and your energy how to respond. It really is. No matter what is in front of you, that's the key. You choose the energy you bring to it. Let's take a breath on this. Everything is easy. Everything in my life is easy. Everything is easy. Thanks for playing with me and programming easy in your life. Powerful. And that's how powerful you are. And I know some of you that this might be the first time you're really understanding what energy is and how it is already working in your life. Yet, for me, this was not something I read in a book. No, it wasn't. This was something I had to experience. And let me tell you, 30 years ago, it was not an easy task. It wasn't very fun at all. Yet, in my own body, in one of the lowest parts of my life, that's when I experienced it. And that's what led me to Reiki energy healing and why I became a Reiki master and how I teach it today. And then, it really was a time in my life where my body was breaking down and being diagnosed with lupus, fibromyalgia, arthritis, Sjogren's, and everything was starting at that time. And it's all through my family. Everybody has it. And I started going to the doctors. Western medicine was not my friend at that time. Don't want to go into that too much. But, with the fatigue, not sleeping, the pain that I was in, and the buzzing in my hands and my feet from the neuropathy. And then I strapped a microwave on my foot many, many, many years ago, and that started really hurting with that. I remember thinking, what am I going to do? I can't live like this. I mean, have you ever felt like this, where your body is trying to tell you something, you're not necessarily listening to it, but think about it. Have you ever felt that, where you couldn't ignore it anymore? And the pain, my system, it was so overwhelmed and right at the edge, and I knew I had to do something. And at that time, think about it, like 30 years ago, what did I do? I called a massage therapist. I didn't know what else to do. So she came to my home, and she started the session. And something happened that I was not expecting whatsoever. The moment that she started touching me, my body reacted, and oh my gosh, abruptly, I'll never forget it. It's a summer day in Phoenix, Arizona, and I remember I was looking out the Acadia door. I'm laying there thinking this is going to help my body. And she starts to do it, and I'm on fire. And I remember yelling, stop, I'm in pain, stop touching me. It was my whole nervous system, everything was right at the edge. And even the smallest touch, and that's even to this day, if you rub, and if I keep doing that, it will well up. And it doesn't feel good. And that just happened to a dear friend of mine that came over and hugged me, and she just started rubbing my arm, because I'm very affectionate. I'll hang and I'll hold you. But she started rubbing and going, oh, it's so good. And I was like, stop. And it felt weird, but it just is a reaction. Have you ever had that happen? where your body is just so overloaded. It can't handle even the smallest thing. It's too much. And she stopped. Okay, let's go back. She stopped, of course. And she said, okay, just breathe. Don't you love that one? Just breathe. That's the biggest thing going right now. And of course, the interesting part of that was I was already breathing. Because I was taught many, many years ago when I had some injuries at the University of Oklahoma, being an athlete there on a full ride scholarship. And they brought in people to help me with the diaphragmatic breath. So I was already learning and already learned how to breathe. And I was already breathing. And I felt all of a sudden, when I knew she wasn't going to touch me anymore, I could feel all of a sudden my whole body went, whoo. And I felt these tingles moving through my body. And I remember saying out loud, what are you doing? And it was I was in so much frustration. I really was. What are you doing? And I can feel something. And she said, I'm doing Reiki energy healing. And of course, back then, nobody knew what that was. And I immediately went to, this is not work. This is, oh my gosh, in my background coming from a Catholic and Christian background, I just immediately was, oh my gosh, no one can heal but God. And I remember thinking, okay, and I just stopped because I was not in the belief. I was a skeptic. I was analyzing everything before that. And you know what? Have you ever had something new show up in your life? And what happened? You immediately tried to reject it. And yet, I was also in so much pain, I said, what did I say to her? Yeah, I said, I can feel that. I can feel the waves. And I said, just do it. Because I was feeling these energy waves moving through my body. And I started to relax. And I could actually feel the pain start from my hips, because mostly it was in my hips and my legs, and I could feel it starting moving down. I didn't even realize that my hands were up until after she told me. And I could feel this movement that I was actually moving the energy down. And of course, I didn't know what I was doing then. And I remember saying, it's in my ankles, because I had moved it down. And I said, it's in my ankles, move it out of my ankles, do something. And I guess my hands were up, and I was moving energy. Because I was so fully in it, I guess. And at the same time, I was still in my brain. I remember that going, this isn't working, this is going to work. What is this? What am I doing? And I'm sure you've been in that place, just in those aha moments of what the heck is going on? You mean, trying to figure it out, but you're also being in it. And all of a sudden, this happened to me. It was like a release. Okay, it wasn't like a release, okay? It was a release. And it was so beautiful because this surge of energy came through, and I could feel it in this top energy and the shift in the vibration. And all of a sudden, it was like, and it just released. And I felt this tingling all through my body, something I had never felt. Not tingling of pain, because I get that with that nerve stuff, but this was different. And I was tingling. It was so amazing. I didn't want it to end, because I finally felt I was out of pain. It was gone. All I felt was this, and I just remember laying there, tingling, feeling my body vibrating. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this must be what energy really feels like. And can you imagine that moment? Wow. Going from a level of 8 or 9 pain and feeling that kind of shift. And then that moment changed it to like a 1 to a 0, where I was just there. I was so being. That was, and it was like I understood all of a sudden about energy. Didn't really understand that, at the time, but I did. And of course, I wanted to go out and shout it to the world after that happened to me. But what did happen is people around me thought I was crazy because I was like, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to go and help people. I'm going to do this stuff. And of course, my family was like, well, you're crazy. You better not do that. And I was working for I was working for a corporation in a high level. I wasn't a CEO, but I was definitely management, upper level management. And my family's like, don't quit your day job. You better not do that. And you better, was really people around me. I actually lost some family and friends during that time because they just thought I was crazy and strange. But I knew that that was the right thing to do because I knew that what it felt like. So I kept going because I could feel it. I experienced it. I knew it was real. So I went out and I found a Reiki master teacher and I started training. And when I started training, I was in a group, not understanding that Angel is highly, highly connected, intuitive, and not realizing that I can feel everybody's energy. I was in a group, getting a group tuned to level 1 Reiki. Not a recommendation that I give to anyone. And what happened is it really tore me down. And it tore me down in such a way that I could not simulate all of the energy. And I was really in a fog for a couple of weeks. I'll never forget it because I live in a condo, 2-story. And I remember going up the stairs and just being this, and thinking, what is going on? So what happened is I met another Reiki master who did one-on-ones. And that's when I understood and really connected to my energy. And when I had to go to level 1, then I went to level 2, and I kept studying. Now, this took years. And that's why it's really interesting now, but it took years for me to get there. But I kept studying and living it until I became the Reiki master. Because I knew I wanted to learn it, but I also knew that I wanted to teach it. And I wanted to share it. So many. And I knew I couldn't keep it to myself. And what I experienced in that time of learning to be a Reiki master teacher, really understanding the duties of that, I wanted to share it with people so that they know that it would be possible for them to get out of pain. So I went ahead and opened Lightworkers Gifts because I wanted to shout it, right? I wanted to go up in the beds and say, you can heal, this can happen. People, and I was so excited about it. And, people would come in and they would feel better. And they were getting that understanding about energy and about understanding how breakthroughs are really your breakdowns are your breakthroughs. And over time, I started noticing something though. People would come in and they would learn and understand or feel their energy just a little bit in a Reiki session. Then they would leave, and then they may or may not come back because it didn't really sit with them. And, during that time too was a time when yoga was just getting big. It really was. And people thought that was crazy for how long, right? It was just getting to a point where these little shops, like Workers Gifts, that was a wellness shop that had these classes on how to develop your intuition, what a chakra was, what energy was, and all the 40 different classes that I used to have. And oh my gosh, what would happen to me? People would come in and be so mean, and you don't know what you're doing, and you shouldn't do this, and you call yourself a Christian or a Catholic and a religious, and then oh my gosh, it was a lot. But you know what? I didn't let anything and anyone, even though that was hard, because even at that time, it was challenging with my mama because she didn't understand it. My family didn't understand it. But I felt it. And and people would come in and they would feel it. But I knew it wasn't enough. And because I didn't want people, and I say this to every client, new student for Reiki that comes in, is that I don't want you dependent on me. I wanted to empower you. I want you to understand your own energy, to feel it, to work with it, to trust it, to really experience it. So I started to change the way I worked. I no longer just do a session, because it became an experience. Time together, teaching, guiding, bringing in the breath work, the mindfulness, and the awareness. Helping them only receive the energy, that's okay, because I can do that. Yet actually experience it for themselves. Now this can happen in so many different ways. I was just at an event where there was over 100 people, actually mostly women. And one of the ladies came out, and I was in line with her getting my food. And she says to me, Angel, I've got a raging headache right now. Is there anything you can do? And I usually never do this. And I said, sure. I said, look at me. And we're in this line getting food, right? Right? And I said, just take a moment and take a breath with me and look at me. And I just, 30 seconds, and I just did a couple of moves and closed, and I would teach how to do that, actually experience it. And all of a sudden she went, oh, wow. That feels better. I can feel that. That's energy. And I knew I wanted to help guide in a deeper way. But I also knew something else with that story, is that I needed more structure. And that would help more people, because I would have more of a language, more tools. So I went back to school, and I received a certification in spiritual coaching. And after months of study, because it was months, everything started to come together. Not just the energy healing, yet how I guided you through your thoughts, your patterns, your emotions, your choices, your decisions. And the big thing is how to stop to help everyone organize not only their energy, yet their nervous system. And that was the big one. So they weren't just feeling something in the moment. You were learning how to see things differently. You were learning to live differently because you had the key parts of the work. And so they just didn't come in anymore. You had the experience. And when you left that, you walked away with tools. You had walked away with a morning routine, an evening routine. You had techniques, and you felt what? More empowered. So you could use it every day, all the time. And as I always say, they were writer-downers. They were creating a plan and understanding themselves in real time. And when that happens, wow. I could connect to that. They could connect, and they had the tools, they had the action to take. And it wasn't a routine, because I don't like routines. I like to call it a healthy activities, to be more aware of yourself. And they started to learn how to move energy, and I started teaching them how to do that. And it brought them back into alignment, back into the balance, back into the clarity. And as I studied more and more and understood the science behind it, the science about all the frequencies, the patterns, the way energy moves, I began to bring that as well. So it wasn't just something that I felt. It was something that they understood that I could teach. And that became the energetic expansion experience. And people go, wow, the energetic expansion experience. That's an experience with me that is like a mini retreat, because it is hours and hours. Because it's where I not just come to be helped. You come here to learn how to help yourself, to feel your energy, to experience it, to understand it, to work with it, and to take responsibility of how you show up in your health, in your relationships, in how you serve others. And in that relationship, how do you relate and what is your energy within you? And the results were amazing. And I'm so blessed to watch so much. And over these 30 years, the people that come in, and all of that started because I was so stressed out being in an upper level corporation in management and having, at one point I think I had over 30 reports to me in 5 different locations, and it was a lot. And being able to stop and listen to the body when I was so stressed out. And that's how it all started, from a corporate job and getting out of that. So, wow. So as we continue, and I would love for you to stay with me right now, because we'll be right back, and I'm going to you're going to hear why it's so important to shift the energy in your body, in your relationships, and really connect to your energy, and also the environment. So stay with me. We'll be right back after this.
If you're listening to the EnergizeUtv, you already know the power of connection. Now imagine sharing your contact info instantly, no typing, no paper, no friction. Our digital business cards let you share your name, phone, social links, and website with one simple scan. Perfect for professionals who want to automate building their network. Ready to upgrade how you connect? Scan the QR code on the screen and get your digital business card built by JavaLogix today.
Go ahead and scan that code. Thank you, Preston, because it's the hottest thing going. Everybody has digital business cards now. You need to check it out. And go ahead and get your business card. Tell them Angel sent you, and you'll get the Angel discount. And check mine out too, because it is powerful. And I want to say right now to you, because I love you so much, and I want to say thank you, because I can't do this alone. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be raising the energy and the vibes of the planet just by you being there, because you matter. And I see you and I celebrate you. So let's move on right now, because as we move on and my work continued to grow from helping people understanding the work in their energy, something else began to expand. And I went deeper into understanding energy, not just in the body, yet in spaces. I learned how to clear homes, clear businesses, shift energy in environments. And I did not just experience it, I studied it. I went to school and became certified in space clearing. Okay, it sounds funny, but there really is. And learning how energy moves through environments, how it holds it, and how it affects people, that was the important part. And how it feels inside of most people, and how it extends out around. And I want you to take a moment so this can land, because it may or may not resonate with you, because it is a hard one, but everything has energy, and we are energy. And that is the real challenge is, have you ever walked into a home and immediately felt at ease, or the opposite, where something felt really off and you're like, wow? And have you ever walked into a business and you felt like, holy, yeah, I just walked into a business. It was a grocery store, actually. And I was really hungry and I wanted something, and I walked into it. And as soon as I walked in, I was like, whoa, I just felt this, energy. And I was like, just go over. And I went over and I stood there I wanted chicken. I love chicken. I wanted that. And I stood there to wait just to get a piece of chicken. And all of a sudden I was like, I cannot be here any longer. And I had to leave. It was like crawling energy around me. It was just, have you ever felt that way? And remember, if you do, and you do have to stay, call me, because that is energy. And you know what? I started to see that people were showing up in spaces everywhere, and they weren't realizing how they were affecting them, the energy. And I saw that in leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, yes, even mama bears and papa bears, and how they were running their meetings, how they were running their lives. And I could see that people were being disengaged. They weren't engaged at all. And this was happening also in events, to conferences, to speakers in front. And they were really speaking well, but they weren't landing at all. And I could see everybody just checking out. And the event planners, you put so much time in this. You've heard this before. You go to an event and you're like, and all you're doing is you're sitting there saying, when is it over? I've seen it time and time again, because everybody's not focused. They feel disconnected. You're watching the people scroll and you know something's off. This is energy. This is all part of it. And when this started happening, I started seeing this, it became very personal to me. Because I knew I could feel that people were being overwhelmed, disconnected, and they were pushing, and they weren't getting the result that they wanted. And I started to realize this was happening in rooms everywhere. And when something interesting started to happen, I would go to networking events, conferences, seminars, all these masterminds, to all these where the room is filled with all these people, and something was happening. I found myself doing the same thing all the time. I could feel the energy's room, right? I would sense it, that it was off, that it was heavy, and that people were disconnected. And naturally, what would I do? I started shifting the energy. Through my presence, through my biofield, I started moving the energy. And as I was moving this energy, I could feel that people were raising their energy. And I thought, I'm not pushing it on anyone. I'm just raising mine. And the room started to respond. People started opening up, and I could see that the conversations were different. Speakers started to be a little different. And the engagement was increasing. And I started noticing something else. And because people were asking me to come to the events all the time, not just to attend, yet because they could feel what was happening in the room. And they would say, Angel, I want your energy in there. I love when you're there. It's so wonderful. And I thought, let's see. They wanted the energy. They wanted the shift. Because they were tired of putting time and money and effort in what was happening. It wasn't landing. So when I was hired to go to spaces, to work with them, everything changed. It would open the event. It would set the tone, not just by speaking, yet by training the room, guiding them in a small training movement connection. That's what I would do at the beginning when I was hired as the event energy conductor. And getting people out of their heads and into their bodies, into presence, and then again, right, it would always happen. It would dip in and out with speakers and absolutely dip after meals. And when the focus would drop, the energy would drop, they would bring me back in for that engagement, for that movement, for that energy. And I would help them by after bringing in my signature song. You've heard my signature song 1,000 times probably. You hear it. That is actually, I sing it. I learned how to do that. It's a whole nother story. That took a lot of courage to do that one. But I learned it. And that song shifts the entire room, but it's also the presence of me and the energy biofield that I create. And then what happened was I could see that they were experiencing it. They were engaging, and also they were connected. They were present. And what I saw was that the energy of the room was aligned. So that meant that the retention went up. The engaging went up. And yes, profitability started to come up because people remember how they felt. They don't always they don't. People do remember how they feel and how they felt. And when they do that, they stay connected. They stay there and they take action. And that is why this work matters. And it really is why I became the event energy conductor because I saw the need and I felt that need and I knew I was doing it for years, and now I'm doing it on a bigger level because transforming people one-on-one, even in rooms and at events, I knew it was even to take it even further than this, because reaching one room at a time was powerful, that I was called to reach millions. And this calling was something I couldn't stop. And it was a powerful calling, a lifetime of being on stage, performing, connecting since I was 2 years old. I've been performing, dancing on stages. And you know, stepping into the television was not that much of a leap, actually. It was really a next level evolution for me. And being that I have been on stage, and even in 8th grade, right here was the first time I was in front of hundreds at my graduation, my 8th grade graduation. And I was the most improved student of the year. I went from a 3rd grade reading level to an 8th grade reading level in 1 year. With that dyslexia, they finally got it because they just didn't throw me aside and say, you're stupid. Because a lot of people did, because back then, that was exactly what they did. They just pushed you aside. And that helped me also. And you know what I wanted to show you is I found my notes. These are the notes that I had from that speech when I was in 8th grade and speaking in front. I remember how nervous I was. Oh my gosh, this is the first one. And it's really cool that I found that. But you know, it didn't always just start there with the television show, because it really was a natural evolution to do that. And the camera was always and always has been my friend. My mama taught me very well how to and have that beautiful smile. Yet it didn't start there. It actually started with a challenge. And this challenge was that someone asked me, and they dared me on Facebook Live. This was more than a decade ago. And more than a decade ago. And they dared me to go on to live Facebook. And I'm telling you, I'm going to show it to you because it's one of the first ones, but because it's definitely not perfect. It's definitely not polished, but it was me, and this was me. So here you go. This is one of the first ones that I ever did. And it was, I think it was over 15 years ago.
Greetings, everybody. This is Tai Chi, a la Angel, texting. Because everybody texts like this. We open it up, you have to slip, and you open it and you stand like this. And it's not good. It's like we're all kind of hunching. So, if you get in the position of Tai Chi, where you just relax and your elbows are relaxed, and you open it and you're kind of looking forward, and now you take it up here and you text like this. You see everything straight? And then what you can do, just like that, then what you can do is you can take it and someone's talking or you're reading it, and you can do this. You can go back and forth, but looking up. It's amazing. So, drink more water, eat more vegetables, and breathe. Because you can.
I gotta laugh at myself. What was this? And breathe. I just have to laugh at that. Because you know that every day on Facebook and on Instagram stories, I ask you to breathe because I love you so much, and just very much. And then I also ask you to drink your water. So, but I guess I'm not saying about the vegetables anymore. But going back, because this challenge helped me to show up. And it helped me to start teaching on a different platform. And I started to sharing what I knew, sharing what I was living, and sharing the energy in real time. And people were feeling it, as you do now. And they started watching and started feeling something, and then something happened. I really was seen. I was being seen on a completely different way. And I got a phone call from a dear friend, and he said, Angel, I see you on Facebook Live, and now you went to Instagram Live, and you're doing it, and you're on YouTube. I get, but you know what, Angel? It's time for you to go global. And I was like, And that is when the beautiful E360 TV, the platform I use even today, is when I started going to them and started using their platform. And in that platform, everything started to expand. And let me tell you, though, it wasn't easy. It wasn't, because I had to learn a lot. I had to learn the new platform. I had to learn new technology. I had to learn how to show up on camera and not just be the performer that I'm used to. And you see that performer a little bit, and you've seen it in the years. Yet to really be that teacher, that guide through the screen. And that was the difference. And that was the moments that people sometimes were not all that kind. They weren't. They really weren't. And, we all start out somewhere. And I always tell everyone, you're just practicing in this life. That's all we're doing is practicing. And we don't always get it right. And the namesayers, it was hard because I wanted to stop. Have you ever had that one? Where I just wanted to stop and just go away. But, I was stepping into something new. And the outside noise of everything and everyone saying I wasn't good enough and that I had too much energy and I couldn't follow, every time I would get that message and I would watch the show, and then I would get the messages from people saying, I watched your show today and it really helped me. I felt something shift in me I loved watching your show. And that's when I knew it was bigger than me, because what I was teaching and how it was helping people was aligning and helping their nervous system, helping them see things and understand their emotions, their shifts, and showing up in their life. Because energy is the music of your life. And when it's out of tune and everything feels off, that's when you really learn how to tune it, how to move it, and how to keep it flowing. Everything changes when that happens. And that is why this beauty of how I want to, and I do, reach millions, serve millions, awaken millions, to make an impact that continues to expand through EnergizeUtv for almost a decade, sharing what I call our golden nuggets, because I love saying that. It's golden nuggets. Come on and get your golden nuggets from my guests, from the guests all over the world, to the beauty and that awesomeness of the people that are right here that keep coming back, because those insights really do help to ignite your energy, your joy, and elevate, the abundance in your life. And that's what I would hear over and over again. It's not just learn something, they felt it, and they feel it when they come right here, and that's why you're here. Because you can feel the energy shift right through this screen. And that is what matters, because you matter. And yes, some of the numbers matter, that you stay on for an average of 39 minutes. And when I get those every month, and I'm like average 39 minutes that people stay on the show, I'm like, wow, because people are really listening. You are. And I so celebrate you, because you're ready. People are ready. They want this. Please go ahead and share this again. Smash that button over at YouTube so you get all those little shorts that I do throughout the month. And that's why I bring the global leaders from around the world, but also local, just sharing the different perspectives, the different expertises, because they all help to align to one purpose, to understanding energy, experiencing it, and living it at a higher level. That's why I love to do what I do and get to do this. Be on camera, be myself, teach and guide and serve. I just absolutely love that. And it's more than just personal. It is a consistent way that I get to connect with you. Because you know what? This transformation doesn't happen just by watching something once, does it? It happens through repetition, and that's why through practice, through learning how to come back to yourself again and again, that is it. And I so see you and thank you. And it's powerful. And one of the biggest questions that I've always gotten asked through all this, especially when I started being on TV and the podcast and everything started to happen, I would get asked all the time, Angel, is that your real name? And people would ask me and they would tell me, they would call me Marie. And I'd say, no, my name's Angel. And they'd go, really? Really. So I wanted to share my mama with you. Now, many of you know, if you've been watching me on socials, that for years I went to see my mama to help my sister take care of her through challenging times, and that she passed a little while ago. And I want to share my mama with you in the love, and I want you to see in her eyes how much she loved me as she's telling this story of how I got my name, and see her joy and how she laughs. And you'll know where I get some of that also. So here she is.
Hi, Mama.
Hi, baby.
My name is Angel. Angel Marie Louise Monticelli.
Yes.
How did I get Angel?
Well, it was in Buffalo, New York. You were born, of course. And it was 4 days after you were born. And we were leaving the hospital on the 5th day. And we had to have the name before we could take the baby home. So your father and I thought we were going to have a son. So we didn't have any little girls' names.
Well, what names did you have?
Ronald.
Oh. Okay.
And so my mother came to the hospital to see you, and you were only 5 pounds, 2 ounces. You were just a little thing, 17 inches long. And Mama said, oh, she's just a little angel. And I said, Angel? And she said, yeah, she's just a little angel. And I said, that's what we're going to name her. And your father said, Angela? And I said, no, because then she gets stuck with Angie. I said, no, just Angel. So then we had to put the name, a saint's name. So we put, of course, Marie for the Blessed Mother. And you are Angel Marie Monticelli.
And the Louise came after with...
When you were confirmated, when you made your confirmation, confirmed, you took the name Louise because your Aunt Etta was your sponsor.
Ah.
And her middle name is Louise.
But my real name is Baby.
That's right.
No matter how old I get.
That's right. You're the baby. And you always will be.
Mm-hmm.
You're my baby.
Angel Marie Louise
Monticelli.
Thank you, Mama.
You're welcome. I love that my baby shines. Shine on, shine on, shine on.
Oh, you could see it, huh? Yeah. I'm the baby. I was always called that. Yeah. Angel Marie Louise Monticelli. That's how I got my name. My beautiful mama. Thank you for letting me share that, because I see you and you matter so much. And if you didn't have a special mama like I did, that always told me I was special. And you can hear it there when she had dyslexia too. And you can hear that when she was trying to say confirmed. And that's how I am sometimes, messing the words up. And I just laugh. because the words don't matter. It's how you feel. And through this whole experience in my life, I want you to know that I see you and I celebrate you. And if you are in a place where you're not in that joy and you're not feeling that energy, I want you to know that I'm here for you. And it's exactly why I keep showing up every week for almost a decade. And I've been doing this energy for almost 30 years. Because all of humanity, that is my sole commitment, is that you realize that you can show up with more energy. You can show up with more joy. And you can show up with manifesting your dreams. And it's easy. Easy energy. Remember that. Everything is easy in my life. And it's also exactly why I created the energy reset session, because I want to gift you this. Because thanks for allowing me to tell my story. And I hope it hit home enough for you to get out of your own way. And go ahead and get this gift and really connect to this gift, because this gift is helping you to reset. And it's a 30-minute, and it is all about connecting in real time and actually feel the shift in your body and using the breath work that I have learned through, since I was like 20 years old. And then also the Tai Chi inspired movements that I've known for 2 decades. I also bring in the mindset and awareness and that simple tools that help to shift in 30 seconds or less. And there's science behind this, because when you regulate your breath, when you move your body intentionally, what happens? You are directly influencing your nervous system, bringing back out of stress and back into balance. And you know what? Inside these sessions, you're not just going to be learning. You are experiencing. You're going to receive even distant Reiki energy healing. And you have that space to connect. So also to ask questions and be supportive. Because you're not meant to just do this alone. You're not. You are meant to feel aligned, valued, and connected. So I want you to learn that energy, so you have it every single day and you know how to do that. And if you want, just go to angelmarieshines.com or scan the code right here again. I'll show it to you one more time. Go ahead and scan the code, and if you can't do that, just go online to angelmarieshines.com and go to events, boom, and go there. Because it's powerful. And if you want to go a little deeper into what I've been teaching here, go ahead. These are the books. This is the foundation of my teaching here on EnergizeUtv and a lot of other things other than the other 12 books that I have. So go ahead and scan the code. Go to my website under books if you want and check it out, because it's powerful. And I want you to have my books. I want to sign them. So go to my website and check them out. And you know what? Next week, we're going to have a lovely conversation with the beautiful Jamie. And Jamie's coming on, and she's going to be talking about energy is the new money. Ooh, this one's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it also. So don't miss out. And you know what? Remember that your energy is the music of your life. Keep it tuned, keep it flowing, and keep it shining bright. I'll be here every week with the golden nuggets, that wisdom, that energy to lift you even higher. Because this isn't just a show. It's a movement. It's a global impact. Until I get to see you next time, keep igniting your energy, activating your joy, and always elevating your abundance. And I will see you next week on EnergizeUtv, where energy meets modern life. Until next time, keep shining. Before you go, take a moment and ask yourself one simple question. What am I taking with me from this conversation? I'm Angel Marie, and this is EnergizeUtv.